What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Chatbox. My name is Ryan, and welcome to the Game Week 29 buy and sell video. Yes, we've delayed it because we wanted to know all the information from the European fixtures as well. And I guess it was kind of okay that we did because Trent did get injured in that as well, which changes a few things in terms of what players you're looking to buy, the budget you have as well now. And we're going to be looking at defenders, midfielders, and obviously forwards. Now, if you're looking for goalkeepers, sells is definitely one of the best options for this week, especially if you're free hitting. If you're wildcarding and if you're looking for goalkeepers, go check out my wildcard draft. And if you're looking for free hit as well, the draft is also up on the channel. I'll put the links for both of them at the end of this video as well. Or you might see some pop-ups that might appear here as well on top of the screen for those two videos as well. Now, let's get straight. We've said all of that. Let's get straight into the video. All right, now let's start with defenders. You see in the last week's video, you would have noticed we mentioned Cucurella as well, like a couple of weeks ago. And anyone who got the 30 points from that, amazing stuff. Now, I've removed some of those players like Cucurella because they have a tough fixture this week against Arsenal. So those aren't the players that we would look to buy now because that time has passed. So like Chelsea players I've removed Palace players as well from last week's video because those were only if you were free hitting, then only you were to buy. But now this week, I haven't added them in because it doesn't make any sense to buy them in for this week. Having said that, defenders, we've got Milenkovic, Guardiola, Kirkes, Murillo, Tarkovsky, Mikalenko, Nico Williams, Ent-Nouri, Dalot, and Mazraoui. Now, let's start with the Forest lads, Milenkovic and Murillo. Now, apart from these two, you also have Nico Williams that I mentioned here, and also Ola Aina. Now, I haven't added Ola Aina because he's a bit more pricey. He's at like 5.3. Ideally, Milenkovic would be the player I think you would want to go for because he's the guy as a set piece threat. Nico Williams is the cheaper one. If you really needed a cheaper defender and you wanted a Forest defender, this guy is the one to go for. The only thing is when it comes to the FA Cup in Game Week 30, like Game Week 30, before the Game Week 30 fixture is the FA Cup fixture. So we're not sure whether Alex Moreno will play that FA Cup fixture, which he's been doing so far, or whether it'll be Nico Williams and then Moreno might play the Game Week 30 fixture against Man United. So we kind of not sure about that. But at the moment, given the track record, Nico Williams should be playing Game Week 29 and Game Week 30. So he's a cheaper alternative into the Forest route. Murillo is a slightly differential punt where he does take set pieces as well in terms of free kicks, and also he's not a bad route into Forest if you're looking for someone like that as well. Let's say you just couldn't get to Milenkovic because you're 0.1 shot. I don't mind Murillo. And if you really wanted to go Olaina, I'm not going to stop you as well because he's also a really good option. Now, from Everton lads, Tarkovsky and Mikalenko have added same reason I mentioned last week. They've got a decent fixture against West Ham this week, to be honest. It's probably a free hit move rather than a buy for someone who's looking for the next couple of weeks. It's more of a free hit move, the Everton lads. Otherwise, I wouldn't really go and buy them. That's the only reason I would look at them. Because West Ham didn't really offer that much threat against Newcastle. So you would expect, and also I think Everton have one of the highest clean sheet odds for this week as well. So hence the Everton lads. Guardiola now. I'm also partially considering this move because I'm got Trent and I've been thinking, okay, which defender do I go and buy? I've looked at Ent-Nouri, Kirkes, and I looked at even Mazraoui for his price tag. And I was like, I'm not really sure where I want to go. Obviously, the United defenders have Leicester this week, which is pretty good. After that, next week, they got Forest. Ent-Nouri has Southampton this week, which is good, and West Ham next week, which is not too bad as well. But they don't have Cunha, and that kind of puts me off as well because it feels like the whole team kind of is a bit more less because of that. I don't really fully trust Wolves' defense as well to add to that. Kirkes is someone who's ideal, but he's got a tough fixture against Brentford this week. Next week, he's got Ipswich, which is pretty good, to be honest. So he's an ideal pick. Guardiola, tough fixture against Brighton this week, but City's defense has improved, but so has Brighton's attack and defense. So that's going to be a tough fixture. But next week he has Leicester. Now I'm looking at Guardiola as like a route to City asset because I have no other City players, and I'm probably not going to have Haaland or Marmoush or any other City player. So I would like a piece of the pie at least for game week 30 against Leicester, because I wouldn't be buying a City player in game week 30. I was looking at it like as a 2 week punt and going, okay, if I'm not going to have any City player for game week 30 or 29, maybe at least from the attacking point of view, maybe I'll try and get Guardiola. Maybe I get lucky, he gets a goal. That's kind of the route that I was thinking. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it right now in terms of a Trent out to a Guardiola move. But yeah, for City, Guardiola, if you can't afford him, Kuznov, but Kuznov is at a price range where I would rather go Kirkes instead. And saying Kirkes, let's talk about Kirkes, because he's been getting attacking returns even when they've not been keeping clean sheets. The next couple of fixtures are actually pretty good. Brentford, like I said, a slightly tougher fixture. I do expect Brentford to score. I do think there's going to be quite a few goals in that game, though. Ipswich is a really good fixture, and then West Ham after that is as well an equally good fixture. So he's actually a pretty good buy. I'm not against him. I think he's one of my top three options for this week. And then obviously Ant Nouri we mentioned as well. Good fixture against Southampton, but then you've got West Ham, and then after that they got Ipswich. It's on paper they should be good, but I don't know how much trust I have fully in this Southampton defense. Obviously Ant Nouri provides attacking threat, but how much of a loss will Cunha be? Kind of have to wait and see. This isn't going to be easy game. Not a bad fixture to try and get him in for. It's just that I'm not sure. Looking at it at 29 and 30, I think West Ham will definitely score against Wolves in 30. And then you're wondering, do you rather go with Guardiola or Kirkes over Anthony? So I know it depends on. I think he's a good option for this week. If you need him for next week as well, that might be a bit of a problem. For me, I need a defender for both weeks. So that's kind of why I am leaning slightly towards Guardiola. If you don't need Anthony for next week, then I think this week alone for the transfer is pretty good, to be honest. And then finally, the two Man United defenders, Dalot and Mazraoui. Now, Mazraoui is the cheaper option. Dalot obviously will be the more expensive option. Now, this week, Dalot will play left back and Mazraoui will play right wing back. Left wing back and right wing back for both of them. Because Patrick Dogu has to serve one more game on his suspension. Next week, when they play Forest, there's a high chance that Dogu plays left wing back, Dalot plays right wing back, and Mazraoui plays as part of the back three, like they did against Real Sociedad in the Europa League. That is kind of what I'm expecting. So if you're going for Mazraoui, cheaper price tag, good fixture this week. Forest might not be the easiest of fixtures, and there's a chance that he now plays at like as part of the back three. So if you're looking for a more attacking option, that would be Dalot. Obviously got the goal against Real Sociedad as well. On the left wing back, I don't really like him that much, to be honest. I don't think he's as useful. Like he does tend to struggle a bit on left wing back. Right wing back, I actually don't mind him. But that's only for next week against Forest, and you ideally want him for this week against Leicester on his more preferred side. So yeah, I mean, good fixture this week for them. Next week, not the best of fixtures. But if you're free hitting, I'll probably have a United defender in this week. Now, that's defense. Let's move over to midfield. We've got Mbeumo, Kluivert, Bowen, Bruno Fernandes, Semenyo, Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi, and Muntesi. Now, I've mentioned a lot about Mbeumo, Kluivert, Bruno, Bowen, Semenyo, Semenyo, and Muntesi in the last video as well. I don't think I have much to add, and you guys already know these guys are all really good players. All have been doing well. The players I've added this week is Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi, because Forest have a really good fixture against Ipswich, and I don't mind either of them. Hudson-Odoi obviously will be the more pacey winger attacking. Elanga also is not a bad shout. I haven't added him here. He's also not a bad shout, to be honest. Hudson-Odoi will obviously be at the end of like Gibbs White's passes. Gibbs White obviously has the more assist threat. Hudson-Odoi goal threat. Elanga also goal threat. So that's kind of how it would be for Forest if you're looking for like more assist threat from Gibbs White, but he has more options to pass it to. Hudson-Odoi obviously on more of the receiving end most of the times, unless he's crossing it into Chris Wood. Muntesi, we mentioned in the last game, he did score a goal as well. Obviously came off as a precaution. He might most likely play this week as well. Not a bad punt. But you want to see press conference news before you look to get him in, just to make sure that he's fine and will start the game as well. Now, the other players that I should mention between Semenyo and Kluivert, if you had to pick one, I would go Kluivert if you can, to be honest, because I think Kluivert does have that extra uh, haul potential compared to a Semenyo personally. That's at least where I stand on. If you want to pick one Bournemouth attacker, for me it would be Kluivert. Now, I don't think I have to say really much about Mbeumo or Bruno Fernandes. Bowen, I'm a bit disappointed because he hasn't really done much that I would have expected. Now, I'm hoping Everton and Wolves that he can deliver. I've partially considered selling him as well to try and bring Bruno Fernandes in for a hit, but I'm not sure if I would end up doing that at the moment. But I have considered it. But yeah, I'm hoping he can deliver. Out of all of these players, he would be the least one that I would look to buy at the moment. Obviously, fixtures for the over couple game weeks are good. It's just that this week is not the best because Everton aren't an easy fixture. Now, forward line: Chris Wood, Haaland, Joe Pedro, Evan Nilsson, Beto, and Marmoush. I do think Marmoush will start. You might still get the leak about it because 4 games happening at kickoff at the same time. So City are part of them. You might potentially get a Marmoush leak, but I do expect him to start. Chris Wood, good captaincy option. Haaland, good captaincy option. Evan Nilsson, obviously we mentioned in the last video we didn't have him in the watch list because we weren't sure whether he was going to start or not. Came on, he started, scored. I expect him to start this week as well. He's one of the players I'm looking to buy for Iliman Ndiaye. So Evan Nilsson is my transfer in at this moment for this week. Beto, not too bad as well for that price tag. If you're really needing a very, very cheap striker, I don't mind Beto. Joe Pedro, obviously tough fixtures. I think he's definitely worth a mention because he's been getting 3 goals now in a row, in back to back succession. So City, I mean, they could concede. So I'm not against it. Joe Pedro obviously on pens. I expect him to play. And then Aston Villa in game week 30 also is not a bad fixture. So if you're looking for someone cheap as well, Joe Pedro, Evan Nilsson, Beto are your players. Out of those 3, I do prefer Evan Nilsson, not gonna lie, over the 3 of them. But if you wanted a penalty taker, Pedro is not too bad as well. That's basically it for my forwards. I've removed the likes of Visa and all because I feel like the fixture against Bournemouth won't be the easiest. And compared to Mbeumo, who has penalties, Visa, no pens, the run after that gets a bit more harder. So I probably wouldn't look at it after that. Mbeumo also, personally, it'll just be a free hit punt. And probably, I mean, he's done well previously. When we looked at removing him earlier during the season and he went down to score against the likes of like Newcastle, Chelsea. I think we looked at removing Mbeumo around this time. Arsenal, he scored as well. So, I mean, he's not too bad of an option. Penalties definitely help, so that's why I don't mind adding him. Visa, on the other hand, no pens does leave a bit of a problem. So yeah, that's my buy video. Sell, obviously, I think Palmer is not been doing well. You are looking to free hit, I don't mind selling. If you have the luxury of selling Palmer, yes, I don't mind selling as well. But if you don't have the luxury of selling Palmer, well, you have to still, you know, if you had to take hits to field the 11 and Palmer is still part of that 11 as well, I wouldn't look to sell in that specific situation. I think the fixture is okay. Arsenal can always concede, and Spurs are sometimes a good team to play a player back into form as well. So yeah, that's my take on my players to buy, sell. Obviously, Hall, Trent, Iliman Ndiaye. Isak is a sell depending on how much value you have in stored with him, and if you're willing to get rid of, like, if you're willing to cop that value loss, then Isak is a sell. I know a few people have been looking to sell Salah as well because they don't have too much value stored up on Salah. Depends on when you bought Salah actually. If you don't have too much value stored up on Salah, fair enough, and sell him as well, and look to get him back on the wildcard if you're wildcarding very soon as well. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all for the deadline stream 2 hours before the deadline.